What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is Bling Empire, Season 1, Episode 6. So, Anna, Cherie, and Kelly are hanging out over Anna's house. They had the baby. They putting, crowns on the baby, and I'm sure those are real diamonds in them crowns, honey. And, Anna asked Kelly, what's going on with you and Andrew? Y'all didn't get back together yet, did you? And of course, she's like, no. She said, have you seen him? No. Anna was like, you sure you haven't seen him? No, I haven't seen him. I don't know. And I'm like, girl, you just lying for no reason. You could say you saw him. You're a grown ass woman, but I understand where she's coming from too. Because she was like, "Listen, I'm just tired of everybody putting their 2 cents in. Everybody telling me what I should do and what I shouldn't do." And so Kevin ended up going over Anna's house, and Kevin nosy ass going to tell Anna, "I think Kelly and Andrew got back together." And Anna was like, "What?" She was like, "No, they didn't." She was like, "Yeah, I think they did. I think they got back together." She was like, "No, they did not get back together." So she ends up calling Kelly and asking her again. So listen, I'm hearing some things. They telling me that you got back with Andrew. What's going on? And Kelly is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Me and Andrew did not get back together, and they didn't. Now that's the truth. Now they didn't get back together. Now, but what they did do, she saw him. She hung out with him, but they didn't get back together, so whatever. So Kim heard back from the private investigator, and she went to go talk to her parents and let her parents know what her mom and her stepdad, and let them know sorry. And lets them know that, listen, I got this information from the private investigator, and I think I want to go find my dad, but I don't want y'all to feel no kind of way about it. And they were like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to feel crazy. Like, it's all right. Like, we don't have to feel bad about it, And he was like, and her stepfather was real cool. He was like, I understand. Like, I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel no kind of way about it. Like, I get it. I understand that you want to find your dad. Like, that's normal. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And so, of course, she's like, well, damn, I'm glad that you understand. I really appreciate the fact that you understand. And, but she's still sort of going back and forth, because a part of her wants that door to be closed, but then there's a part of her that's sort of like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't really know if I want to open up that can of worms. But she finds his name, and he found out he's remarried and all of that. So she goes to talk to Kevin and Kane about it. Kevin and Kane are hilarious. They're at Kane's house. Kevin got his shoes in the house. Kane done told him, put your shoes outside. You don't come in the house with your shoes on. He's in Kane's massage chair. Kane tells him, I do all kinds of things in that massage chair, but don't worry, I disinfect it every day. And Kevin was like, did you disinfect it today, though? They're funny together. They're absolutely hilarious. And even though Kane calls Kevin dumb all the time, you can tell that they really have a good friendship, and they really do love each other. So Kim is talking to Kevin and Kane about the dilemma, the fact that, she did, she got the information on her real dad, but she doesn't know whether she wants to call or not call and all of that. So she's sort of going back and forth with that. And so they were like, well, why don't you just call, see who answers the phone? She was like, well, what if his wife answers the phone? And I'm thinking, so what? Well, what if he doesn't know he has a daughter? He should. Like, here's the thing. That's not your burden to bear. If this man remarried and is neglected to tell you whether he had a daughter or not, that's his conversation to have with his wife. That is not your burden to carry. That's between her and him. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, I understand that, but I feel like that shouldn't be her concern about whether, well, what if his wife answers the phone and his wife doesn't know who I am? But again, I definitely get it. Like, it's a lot to be worried about. So she gives Kevin a call, and Kevin leaves a message basically saying, hey, we're looking for, I think his name was Tim or something. If this is him, Tony, that's it, Tony. If this is him, please, call me back on this number. I'm calling for my friend Kim, I think he did say Kim. So that was enough for, if he was interested, for him to be like, he'll call back. So then they were like, well, he's in South Carolina. And Kane was like, well, let's go. Let's go to South Carolina. Like, let's just go pick it up and get a jet. He was like, I'll get a jet. We can go down to South Carolina. We can go find him. And he's like, no. And Kelly was like, well, no. Kim. Lord, I get the names wrong. Kim was like, no. All these K's. Kelly, Kim, Kevin, Kane. Child, there's a lot of them. And she was like, well, no, I don't know if I'm up for it. I don't know if I'm up for it. But she finally agrees to let them call. Like I said, they do call. Now, Anna and Kelly are hanging out down in LA, riding on these little, like the scooters, not the scooter, them things was called, where you stood on them and you control it like this with anyway, one of them things, child. And Anna is in the street. The police are telling her to get up on the curb. Now, this is white privilege, y'all. For people who don't know what white privilege is, when the police tell you to do something and you turn around to the police and you hit them with the no, and you hit them with the finger up, that's white privilege. You don't. And then they proceeded to help her get on the thing, the pad, what do they call them things? I'm going to remember the name as soon as I get off of here. And proceeded to help her go down the street. She was still in the street. She never got back on the curb until she was ready to get back on the curb. So for people who want examples, there's one. And y'all know I love Anna, but baby. And here's the thing. She's living in her privilege. It ain't Anna's fault that the privilege exists. The privilege is just the privilege. So Anna and Kelly end up having a conversation again. They end up getting into whether Kelly and Andrew got back together. And Anna goes and tells her that, listen, Kevin was the one who told me, child. Kevin is worried about you. We're all worried about you. And Kevin told me that, you were the one, that he thought you and Andrew got back together. So, of course, Kelly's upset about it. And she was like, listen, we did not get back together. If we got back together, I would tell you we got back together. Like, I just don't want to keep talking about this. But, I really am disappointed that Kevin was the one that said something. And, of course, she's thinking, well, Kevin is trying to do this because Kevin likes me, So, Anna is having a birthday party, honey. And, of course, it's Anna, okay? So, she's late to her own party, but it looks like it's a nice little party. She's got, ice sculptures, and she's got platters floating around. So, they're not going to have a sit-down formal dinner. They're just going to kind of be floating around. And Kane decides to go upstairs to go, he was like, can I go upstairs? You think I can go upstairs? Because he wants to go check on Anna. Like, girl, your party, we need to get your ass downstairs. So, the guy that went upstairs with Kim, he gonna talk about can I come up too? Kane was like, no, you stay your ass down here. No. He was like, well, I'm gonna come up. I won't snoop around. I promise. I won't snoop around this time. You just stay your ass on the first floor. So Kelly confronts Kevin and says, listen, Anna told me that you were the one that was spreading this rumor about me getting back with Andrew. And and he was like, well, that's what y'all do, right? Y'all break up, y'all get back together, y'all break up, y'all get back together. Like, is that too crazy for me to think that? And she was like, yeah, but we're not. And I wish you would stop, like, getting people all worked up to think that that's what's going on. Like, don't do that. So, Guy is his name. Guy ends up walking Anna down the steps. So I guess that definitely is coming full circle to where they started and all that good stuff. Anna ended up giving her friend Florence, the French guy, she ended up giving him a tennis bracelet on her birthday. See, that's the kind of person Anna is. I need to find out how to become friends with Anna Shay. Not that I expect me nice gifts, but I wouldn't say no. Anyway, so Kevin and Kane end up having a conversation, and Kevin says, you know what, I think that Kim needs closure. When I went under hypnosis, and Kane was like, wait a minute, you did what? And he was like, oh, I didn't tell you. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I went under hypnosis, and it helped me, even though I relived being abandoned by my mom, it gave me some closure and it helped me understand the situation and how it happened, how I got to that point and how it evolved. And I really think that Kim needs that. She really needs that closure. And so Kane and Kevin decide that they just gonna fly down to South Carolina and they're gonna make sure they're gonna find out if this is really her dad, and they're gonna talk to her and hopefully, talk to him and hopefully like bridge the gap between her and her dad and help her get the closure that she needs. They have well intentions, but it is hilarious nonetheless. But it's definitely with good intentions. So the party is over. Everybody's leaving. And who shows up? Christine. Listen. Christine, how many times you gonna let Anna punk you? At this point, at any point in time that you get an invitation from Anna, you need to be getting on the phone with Kevin, with Kane, with Kelly, or anybody else from y'all circle and saying, what your invitation say? Because I need to know if your invitation is the same as my invitation. Baby, Anna purposely put the start time of the party at 9 o'clock, knowing that the party would be almost over by 9 o'clock. And she said, because that way I don't have to spend that much time with her. I said, you know what? So once again, Anna Shay, checkmate on Christine. I will say this, she takes it in stride. I mean, she takes it in stride. But baby, at the end of the day, so Kevin and Kane, they get to South Carolina. They are having themselves a good time. They run into some racists waving the Confederate flag, and they're like, "Hey, the agents are here! The agents are here!" You know. He ends up running off. You know. They get on a carriage ride through Charleston, because it's in Charleston, South Carolina. They go on a carriage ride through Charleston. They're staying at an Airbnb, so they check into the Airbnb, and then they go looking for her dad. And they end up going to his apartment. Now they looking all through the windows and everything, and he was like, well, this is definitely an Asian guy that lives here. It's definitely an Asian guy that lives here. And they looking all, I said, you better be lucky you got the right ones, because somebody see you looking in the wrong person's apartment, it could be a whole nother problem. So nobody answered the door. So then they go and knock on one of the neighbors' doors, and they were like, does Tony live here? And he was like, yeah. No, they were like, no, his name is Michael. That's not Tony. He was like, there's no Tony that lives there? And they were like, no, his name is Michael. He said, what's his last name? He was like, I don't know. Oh, well, is he Asian? He was like, yeah, he's Vietnamese. Like, why are you giving these strangers all of this information? They were like, well, what's his last name? Oh, I don't know. Then they're going to say, well, do you know where he works? Yeah, he works at a nail salon. Why are you telling these perfect strangers? Like, if my neighbor gave out this much information, I would be so pissed off if my neighbor gave out all this information about me. Okay? Don't confirm nothing. You don't know who lived there. You don't know what she looked like. You don't know her first, middle, last name. You don't know when she moved there. You don't know where she worked. You don't know what kind of car she drives. Don't tell nobody nothing. And you don't know them and they don't know you, then you don't tell them nothing. Okay? Anyway. Once again, let me rewind a little bit. Once again, Kevin and Kane do this whole reenactment thing. They like reenacting scenarios. And it was cute. They were reenacting, what would happen if you knocked at the door. And of course, they kept coming up with the worst scenarios. And that's when they were like, finally, forget it. Let's just go to the apartment. Like, forget it. Let's just go. So they decide, after they strike out at the apartment, they decide, well, if he works at a nail salon, it can't be too many Vietnamese nail salons in the area. Let's just see if we can find some on Yelp. And they just happen to find, they go to the closest nail salon to the house. Most people don't necessarily live that close to their house, but I'm going to give it to them. So they show up at a nail salon. And, no, first they called. They called and they asked to speak to Michael. So he gets on the phone and they were like, is this Tony? And he was like, no, Tony, I'm Michael. And they were like, well, did you ever go by a name Tony? He was like, no, I'm Michael. They were like, well, do you know a Kim Lee? And he was like, no, I don't know no Kim Lee. Like, I'm Michael. I don't know who y'all talking about. So they end up going to the nail shop. And they asked to speak to him. And, of course, they asked him all the same questions. They were like, hey, we were the guys you were on the phone with. And they told him, they said, listen, we're here from L.A. Our friend Kim, she's looking for her dad. We think that you might be her dad. Like, you sure? You don't know a Kim Lee? And he was like, I don't know no Kim Lee. What are y'all talking about? I don't know no Kim. And they were like, okay. So they end up going back to the Airbnb. they're disappointed. They're frustrated. It had been a long day because remember they got off the plane and went straight. Like they been traveling all day. They hadn't even like relaxed or nothing. They didn't even show them eating, although I'm sure they did stop and get something to eat. They get back and they kicking their shoes off, and they're disappointed, and frustrated with the whole thing because they really wanted to give Kim some answers one way or the other, and they don't believe the guy. They were like, listen, he's in the right age range. He saw that when they came, was like, you saw when we said Kelly, he hesitated, like his whole mood changed, and then he tried to hurry up and rush us. They were like, that's him, that is him. Like they're convinced that this is the guy. So then the phone rings, and it's a woman that answers the phone, and she said, y'all looking for Tony? And it's the same number that they had for Tony. And they were like, yeah, we've been looking for Tony. She was she was like, yeah, we're friends of his daughter Kim. She was like, yeah, his daughter Kim. And that's where the episode cuts off. So I was like, okay, so that's him. I guess he got nervous about the situation, or maybe he hadn't told his wife and he had to tell his wife about it or whatever. And she probably did what most women did and was like, boy, I already knew you had a daughter. I was just waiting for you to tell me because I already knew she was around. The only other thing that really happened was Kelly did have a conversation with Andrew and was like, maybe, because Andrew got mad because he did find out that she had gone out on a date with Kevin. So, of course, he was mad. Like, he had a right to be mad. You don't have a right to be mad. Y'all not a couple. Y'all not together. But he feels like he had a right to be mad or be upset by it. And she says, well, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't be friends. Maybe this ain't going to work out. Okay? And that was the episode. So, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.